In the heart of the North Pole, a group of elves huddle, plotting a well-deserved break for the ever-busy Mrs. Claus. With a mix of nervousness and determination, the elves approach Mrs. Claus, who is busy organizing the kitchen. Mrs. Claus turns, surprised by the sudden appearance of the elf delegation, her hands still dusted with flour. The elves present their case with earnest, explaining why Mrs. Claus deserves a day off, emphasizing the hard work she does every day. Initially hesitant, Mrs. Claus's expression softens as she listens, her eyes reflecting a mix of gratitude and apprehension. Upon Mrs. Claus agreeing, the elves erupt in a cheer, their mission successful, their faces beaming with pride. Before departing, Mrs. Claus offers a flurry of last-minute instructions, her voice filled with care and caution. Elves scribble down notes frantically, determined to remember every detail and instruction given by Mrs. Claus. With a final wave and a reassuring smile, Mrs. Claus departs, leaving the elves in charge of the North Pole's daily operations. The elves, now geared up for the challenge, brace themselves to take charge, their faces a blend of excitement and resolve. With a blend of eagerness and trepidation, the elves take their first steps into Mrs. Claus's domain, the kitchen. Determined to uphold Mrs. Claus's standards, the elves begin baking, mixing and stirring with varying degrees of success. A misjudged movement leads to a flour fiasco, blanketing the kitchen and the elves in a comical white flurry. Elves huddle over Mrs. Claus's recipe book, their expressions a picture of confusion as they try to decipher her handwritten notes. In a bold move, one elf decides to improvise, throwing together ingredients in a hopeful but misguided attempt at creativity. The ovens, mismanaged by the enthusiastic elves, soon overflow with burnt treats, the smell of charred pastries filling the air. An attempt at cleaning results in more chaos, with soapy water and suds adding to the culinary catastrophe. An adventurous elf bravely tastes their unusual concoction, resulting in a series of comically exaggerated expressions. Realizing the scale of the challenge, the elves regroup for a motivational pep talk, determined to turn the situation around. With renewed spirit, the elves divide the tasks based on their strengths, a more organized approach taking shape. Emboldened by their newfound responsibility, the elves begin their day in the toy workshop with confidence and enthusiasm. But soon, their confidence wavers as they struggle with the complex machinery, leading to a comical display of toy-making chaos. A misstep leads to a paint spill, transforming the workshop floor into a vibrant, slippery canvas of colors. On the assembly line, confusion reigns as toy parts are mixed up, creating a collection of amusing but unintended toy hybrids. Amidst the chaos, an elf's creativity sparks a new idea, leading to the invention of an unconventional but charming toy. The quality control station becomes a scene of humorous blunders as toys pass inspection with quirky and unexpected features. Resourcefulness comes to the fore as elves devise ingenious, if unorthodox, solutions to fix toy production problems. A test flight of a remote-controlled toy plane goes hilariously awry, causing a playful havoc as it zooms around the workshop. When a key machine sputters to a halt, teamwork comes into play as elves collaborate to repair it, their efforts a testament to their unity. The moment of triumph arrives as the elves finally produce a perfect toy, their faces lighting up with relief and satisfaction. In the nerve center of the North Pole, the communication hub, elves take their posts, ready to manage the influx of messages and calls. Chaos ensues as letters from children around the world get mixed up, leading to a flurry of confusion and misplaced responses. Messages from Santa get misinterpreted, causing a chain of humorous misunderstandings among the elves. An accidental push of a button leads to an elf singing being broadcast across the North Pole, much to everyone's amusement. Elves struggle with a large global map as they plan Santa's upcoming route, the map's unwieldy size leading to a comical tangle. An elf tasked with responding to an international message gets lost in translation, creating a charmingly muddled reply. In a burst of creativity, elves invent a quirky new system for communication involving a series of pulleys and colored flags. An elf accidentally sends a reply-all message intended for one, leading to a humorous broadcast to the entire North Pole. Gradually, the elves start to get a handle on the communication systems, their initial fumbles turning into confident and effective management. Gradually, the elves start to get a handle on the communication systems, their initial fumbles turning into confident and effective management. The elves, eager to show their accomplishments, gather around Mrs. Claus, presenting the fruits of their day's labor with mixed results. Mrs. Claus, with a mixture of amusement and astonishment, discovers the day's chaotic outcomes, from the toy workshop mishaps to the communication center's tangles. The elves, a bit sheepish, apologize for the mess and any mishaps, explaining their efforts to manage the North Pole in her absence. Mrs. Claus bursts into laughter, her heart warmed by the elves' attempts, appreciating their efforts and intentions. Together, Mrs. Claus and the elves embark on a group cleanup, turning the tidying process into a fun and collaborative activity. As they clean, the elves share the valuable lessons they learned throughout the day, from teamwork to the importance of detailed planning. Mrs. Claus imparts words of wisdom, highlighting the importance of teamwork, effort, and understanding each other's roles. The elves express their renewed appreciation for Mrs. Claus's daily contributions, realizing the skill and dedication her role requires. The episode concludes with a warm group hug, the North Pole family coming together in unity, celebrating the day's endearing chaos and lessons learned.